What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Hold Husband Podcast. I'm your host, Terry DeRine. I got my co-host, Jay Bob, on the building with me. What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. Looking good. Another great episode today. This week we don't have SD, but we look forward to having back next week here. But want to quickly remind you can catch us on TikTok as well as subscribe to us on YouTube at Holders and Podcast. And for those interested in promos, shout out, shoot us a DM at Holders and Podcast on IG as well as email us at holdersandpodcast@gmail.com. All right, T.
All right, I want to give a shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with our background music. I also want to remind everybody to continue supporting the podcast or our Cash App and our PayPal. And I'd also like to remind everybody that you can catch the audio playback of the podcast every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the core94.com. Tonight's episode is titled What About the Past? And we're going to be having a discussion about the importance and the relevance of a person's past dating and sexual history. But y'all know how we do around here, man. We like to discuss stuff that we've seen trending on our timelines. So we got a couple interesting videos to discuss this week. This first video is talking about when a woman becomes very problematic during her dating phase. Let's take a look.
And then when you get in these relationships, you become a headache in these relationships because the ego is so big. You think you're the prettiest person in the world, and then you got the nastiest attitudes and you're selfish. And then the men, even if they wanted to play this monogamy game, women make it hard for men to even be monogamous. You make it hard for a man to not want to look at another woman because at the end of the day, a man's natural habit is to look at other women, is to pursue multiple women. If he gonna play the monogamous game, ma'am, you got to give a very good reason why he wouldn't look at another woman, because his natural instinct is to. Women give men a million reasons to look elsewhere with their attitudes.
I'm totally in agreement with what she's saying about the attitudes and the entitlement that a lot of women, especially these modern women, exhibit. It does change a guy's motivation level to deal with it. You know what I mean? Just to be in her presence, just to have her as a part of your life. What she's describing is very, very true, especially for the men that have had success with women. Because I talk about it all the time. It takes conscious effort for men to remain monogamous and not put themselves in compromising positions, because like she said in the video, it comes natural. The thoughts and feelings that a man has when he's around an attractive woman don't change necessarily. It's his response to those thoughts and feelings that change as a result of how he feels about his woman in his relationship. What'd you think, Jay?
Now she hit on a lot of good points. Like you said, especially for men that are successful women, right? When you get into a serious relationship, or I guess a serious monogamous relationship, I should say, because some are into that lifestyle, polyamorous and whatnot here. But you're giving up all that you had, the other woman you were dealing with, you had a lot of a rotation of women that you're dealing with, right? So you're giving it up to deal with that one woman. So I guess what she's saying is, hey, you better come. You need to come with it. You need to come with everything that man wants and would need out of a woman. Because and some of them make it hard. She's
Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways, it could be more difficult for a woman that's dating a man that has had success with several women, because men that are dealing with that situation, typically the way that a man's rotation is going to be set up is he's going to have women that specialize in a certain thing, or that based on what his preferences or likes are. And so when a man is used to a woman that one of them can cook great, one of them's a head doctor, one of them got a real big booty, one of them, so like when a guy has, his favorite things, throughout his roster of women, when he gets with one woman, he can feel like he's missing out on some of those things. But I don't think that's gonna never change. Like, there are certain sacrifices you just have to come up with when you're dealing with one woman. But as far as attitude wise and what he engages in communicating with you on a day-to-day basis and the level of respect you give him, I think that plays a major factor in making a man fall out of love with a woman and decide to ultimately leave a marriage or relationship.
No, absolutely, and you hit on a good point there. Like, look, coming into it, a woman, she's not gonna have every single thing that you want, that you might have been getting from the other women. Like you said, you got to make a sacrifice some way. But like you said, if she's not pleasant to deal with, that will, increase the chance that he's going to look elsewhere. Bad attitude. You finally get into the relationship, and you're withholding sex, or even what some women do, especially in marriages, weaponize sex. Well, because he did this,
Reward
but I'm just
system.
not going to give him. Yeah, and it's just like that's not what I signed up for here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, these are the type of things that should be figured out during the dating process. So for a guy to end up in a monogamous or committed relationship with a woman that does have a foul attitude or a messed up mentality or whatnot, to me, that's indicative of a dude that's desperate to be with that woman. Because a guy that has to make choices between which woman he's going to give his time and energy to, it makes very little sense for a guy to choose an unpleasant woman unless
Right.
the scenario is where it's cheaper to keep her, you've already married her and it's too late, or you have children with her and you're trying to salvage the family household or whatnot. Those are kind of the things where a woman has the most leverage to keep a man in a situation where he's frustrated or tired of dealing with her attitude.
Yeah, no question, no question about it. There, like I said, those are things that will lead a man, like she said, to look elsewhere. Because think about this: we see an attractive woman, right? Our first natural reaction is to look at her. We see a badass, hey, we see a big booty there, assuming it's real. Hey, maybe even with the BBW, what we gonna do? We gonna look.
Well, to me, it's not just about the physical, visual looks. A dude that's being disrespected by his woman or treated in a negative way by his woman, when he encounters a woman that has different energy, is going to be noticed. And so
No
that's how
question.
you can find a guy that falls for a woman that's not as attractive as his wife or his baby mama. But he loves her attitude. He loves her personality. He loves the respect she gives him. And so those are kind of some
Yeah.
intangible things outside of sex. Obviously, sex, a woman that's not meeting his sexual needs obviously opens the door for him to get those needs met elsewhere as well. But just having somebody he can chill around, somebody he can actually express his thoughts to, somebody that's actually interested in what he's passionate about. Those type of things are kind of unspoken things that make a side chick very valuable to a guy.
Absolutely. It's funny because there's a lot of men, for the men that do, they feel more comfortable telling her stuff and confining her than, he would tell his wife, the person that he's been married for, whatever, 10, 15, 20 years there.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Oh, no question. No
I've
doubt.
been a side dude, so I've
Oh,
had
yeah.
the conversations that women have with a side dude. So yeah, the men and women missing something out of the relationship is often the motivating factor for them to seek
So,
somebody else.
so hold on. So you say, so when you in your side experience, right? These women were confining stuff in you that I guess they would normally confine in their significant other.
I mean, they can't be totally honest with them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
a lot of times there were sexual things that they didn't want him to know about because they didn't want him to view them in a negative way.
Gotcha.
So when I was in my side dude role, part of that is kind of fulfilling the fantasies that I know you can't do with your man. And so I would kind of play on there's a certain excitement level that comes from having sex with somebody you're not supposed to be having sex with. And so I would kind of play up that through our conversations during sex. It's like, you know, you can use the guilt as a sexual enhancer, because when you're not supposed to be doing it, man, it make it more exciting for some reason. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah, dude.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's the same kind of concept of having sex in inappropriate places. You know what I'm saying? You avoid you or you having sex on a balcony or something. You doing stuff that you're not supposed to be doing actually makes it more enjoyable or exciting to do. And so cheating that manifests itself in a whole lot of ways. Just knowing that somebody else that ain't supposed to be thinking about you at work is fantasizing about you. Those things can stroke your ego, and they can build a bond between two people that most people probably wouldn't understand or be able to see. Let's keep things rolling, man. This next video, I was I busted out laughing actually when I watched this video. This was another video of the pop the balloon scenario, but this one, the guy, I would say was applying pressure where he actually verbally invited the woman out to a date. Let's take a look.
You don't have one, that's fine too.
You available tonight? You want to go get something to drink or something to eat?
So I am, but I do have my friend with me, so she would be coming with us.
That's negative. Give me
Okay.
Man, I can't do that. No, we don't do friends.
Hey, I love how fast and decisive he was when he like, oh hell no. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I love the fact that he showed his interest. He made it, hey, I'm available tonight. You interested in getting some food or some drinks or something? Now, to me, I've never had a situation where a chick invited a friend on a date, but I would have responded exactly like old boy did. Like, oh man, you got me bit, because that's a move women only pull off when they trying to finesse a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, your friend been on a date, so she can't go sit at the bar by herself and buy herself a drink while you on a date, or find something to go get a pedicure, go do something else while you were with her on a date, or going out to have a drink with this dude for a couple hours.
Right.
So to me, he handled it perfect.
Yeah, no, I agree. He handled it perfect. In that situation, I would probably do the same thing. Like what she said, hey, I'm gonna have my friend with me, because I think you set yourself up for a crash. Like, and I've been in, I ain't gonna lie, I've been in a situation like this. And she didn't say it at the time, like, hey, I'm gonna go pick the chick up, and then she's like, hey, well, I got my friend with me. I'm like, well, wait a second. And for those situations, they never went anywhere, ended well, right?
Right. I mean, because just imagine the conversation that a chick has to have for that to happen.
Yeah.
You going on a date and you like, hey, pull up. You want some free food? I got this lame dude that slid in my DMs that's gonna pay this paying. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you got to be able to stand on business. Like, a lot of a big theme in having success with women is being willing to cut a woman off. You know what I'm saying? Like, not placing too much value on a woman that ain't reciprocating value to you. So a woman that would even, I mean, you've been in town with your friend, don't have nothing to do with whether or not you interested in going to have a drink with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, your friend could stay in the hotel room while you go have a drink with the guy.
But here's the thing, right? She went on a dating show. She knows what she's going there for, right? You went on a dating show. The whole point is to, potentially meet your man and meet your partner, right? I mean, a lot of times these folks are from out of town. I think it's based out of Phoenix, Arizona. So the majority of them, there's some people that's local to the area, but the majority of them are coming from different parts of the country here to meet somebody, right? So, if you potentially match with somebody, they might want to go out with you because they're going to leave town either maybe that evening, or a lot of times they're going to leave the next night or so, right? So it would make the most sense to go out that person that night. In that situation, if I meet somebody, I'll be like, hey, what you doing tonight? Hey, why don't we go find a restaurant downtown to go to? So
right.
She knew this, and she's fully aware of this. So you do that to say, well, I'm going to bring my friend. I mean, hell, for all that, you could have just said no. Just pop the balloon from there, I guess, like you said, they're trying to finesse something.
Because they trying to get the free drinks and the free meals or whatnot. Yeah. Because just think, if you're the friend, how awkward is it if that's bum chick energy. You just pop up on a date with a dude you never met, you know what I'm saying? And it's very clear. Let's all be clear. The expectation is he's going to have to pay for everything. You know what I'm saying? Right. The whole reason that she's making it a point to tell him about this is because you're not just gonna have to pay for us, you're gonna have to pay for my friend too.
And right. And
So
it's like, okay, I'm trying to date you, not your friend here. Like I said, I don't think in that situation, it just doesn't end well. Because how you going to, because, you trying to date somebody, you're trying to be in a more intimate setting where you can talk one-on-one, right? You're not going to know everything you need to know on that show, right? You get a few minutes to talk to people, you ask a few questions and see if that person sparks your interest. So, like I said, he did the right thing, because I don't see that it be the situation where that was going to end well or go, the
or
way
be
he,
productive.
get a favorable. Yeah.
It wasn't going. I guess if you're rich and famous, that those kind of scenarios you would end in a threesome. But a chick's not gonna do that to a guy that she's really interested in. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like a guy that is, a pro athlete or whatnot, that's telling you to bring some friends, or we going on a yacht or something like that. That's totally different. A guy inviting a woman on a one-on-one date, especially a first date, stop it. You know what I mean? Like, so again, dude clearly has the experience to know what he's dealing with, and he handled it appropriately. So shout out to him, because I like the fact that he made it entertaining, because he popped the shit out that balloon. You know what I'm saying?
He was like, hey, you know what? No, that's a nigga.
Oh, facts. Yeah, you gotta let them know when they got you messed up. You know what I mean? Like, because that's the only way that a woman's gonna actually respect you. You know what I mean? Because
no doubt.
If, like I said, I've never seen a woman handle a guy she actually likes like that.
Bro, me neither. Like I said, if he would have actually accepted, hey, no problem, let's go. Like I said, she would have ended up respecting him less, because her and her friend would have got, free meal, free drinks and everything out of it. Paid a $200 dinner tab, and they would have went. Yep, they would have went about their business, and like I said, there was nothing that was going to come out of that, nothing longer term, and he wasn't going to hit the skins.
Right. All right, man. Looks like we up against the clock. We about to take a quick break. When we coming back, we're gonna be getting into tonight's topic. What about the past? Where we're talking about the importance and relevance of a person's past sexual and dating history. You are tuned in to the Ho to Husband podcast. We'll be back in a moment.
In regards to sex, love, and relationships, and I provide real quality insight on how husband material men approach dating.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Ho to Husband podcast. Tonight's episode is titled "What About the Past?" And in light of this first round of Diddy and Cassie, testimony, a lot of details about Cassie's sexual past and what actually went down during these freak-offs and all that has been coming to light. And her husband has been in the courtroom for most of it. So people have been reacting to the details and the intimate knowledge. There was details that she FaceTimed Diddy. Her husband FaceTimed her while she was having sex with Diddy and all these type of things. And so that sparked today's episodes. What about the past? How does knowing the details of someone's sexual past or dating history impact their current dateability? So I guess I want to start off, Jay, with the whole situation with P. Diddy. What were your thoughts with all the details that came out this week?
Man, I would say this, I don't think Cassie is a victim here based on the details that came out. She was complicit and a willing participant in this here. That's my,
Well, I guess it's I guess you gotta separate it. She's a victim of physical abuse 100%. He's been on site beating her and physically beating her. So she is a victim of physical abuse. As far as being sex trafficked and all that type of stuff, I guess that's where you can decide whether or not she was completely,
and that's kind of where
or not.
That's where I was going with that. Yeah, the domestic abuse, domestic violence stuff. Yeah, I don't go. I'll put thanks for putting that disclaimer out there. So is she a victim of that? Yes, I say. But I say in these freak offs, she willingly participated, because you know what, it's like this. She got with Diddy, initially, I guess, to advance her career, right? They did get pulled text message where she said, hey, I feel like I'm everything you want in a woman, with all his, sexual desires and stuff that he likes. there was a text message, they revealed that text. That was back from 2009. They broke up in 2017 or 18, I believe. So you don't do something. I would say this: you don't do something you don't like more than once.
I think that's a little narrow kind of perspective because when you're talking about power in the entertainment industry and people that are in control and especially people that are willing to use violence and murder to get their way or silence whistleblowers, tie up loose ends, all those type of things. We see it in all the type of movies and on Scandal and these type of things where people solve problems and do all these type of things. But when you're hearing the details of people that actually move in that arena where you're talking about billionaires, and because it don't take millions of dollars to be able to get people that are willing to murder people or disappear people. And so to hear some of the details and the conversations and other people that are coming forth and revealing why they didn't intervene or why they kept their mouth shut, it makes sense why a person could be participating just because of fear of the results of not participating. Yeah, so I guess that's what the jury will ultimately decide who they feel was in the right, and I mean whether this was by coercion or not, but the idea of how that impacts the husband, just knowing the details. Like they said that he had to actually walk out of the courtroom after hearing some of the details, the numbers of men and some of the details of things that he made her do or requested that she do. So I guess that gets to my first question I wanted to just bring up. For regular people that are not famous, that are not celebrities, that are not rich, what is a realistic expectation of the person that you dating's past sexual history or dating history? What's
at the end of the day, I think realistic, saying what's acceptable, I think that's all relative here, right? Because think about this. Every woman you meet has had a sexual past. I assume any woman I initially meet or I have a interest in dating, I understand, listen, she has had sex with somebody before me. There might be somebody she's having sex with at that current first initially meeting. She has somebody, we go on a date, she might have somebody she called right after and get her back blown down. I wouldn't put it past her, right? It happens, right? So it's like, I guess it's like, okay, which one is she's actually cool, someone that you can see pursue yourself long term, and which one is, I guess, for the streets here. I guess that's what, when I'm dating someone, I'm meeting someone, I guess that's what I'm really trying to determine there.
Okay, well, I mean, obviously you when you're dating a woman, you observe her behavior, how she moves, how she makes her decisions. Absolutely. And whatnot, and you get a gauge of what her current lifestyle is. But right now we're talking about a person's past. So you could meet a woman in 2025 that has a career, that has a child, that is, maybe a divorced mom. But in 2015, she could have been a thought having trains ran on her in a dorm room, or like something to that effect. And so we know that when it comes to judging a potential mate based off a number of sexual partners or whatnot, that matters to men a lot more than it matters to women, because women have historically gravitated towards the men that have slept with the most women, because those men obviously have what it takes to attract women. But for women, guys don't usually want to wife women that are viewed as hoes or being, very sexual women. And so when we have these conversations about body count, my logic has always been it's kind of pointless to have the conversation because you're not going to get an honest answer anyway. And so using something that you can't never prove is true or false, you can't ever get an accurate count, to use that as a major factor in your dating decision doesn't make sense to me. but I've never been in a situation where you're in a relationship or you're married to someone, and then all of a sudden, an avalanche of sexual details about their past come up. Um, Obviously, nobody wants to hear the details about their spouse's
You know,
sexual
eh,
partner. You know what I
exactly.
mean?
But you know what? In this day and age, it's crazy because somebody probably got something,
Some
some
camera.
some extra freak nasty stuff on their phone in 4K right now. Everybody got a small, everybody's got an iPhone or an Android now. So somebody might have her, in 4K. We're just hoping, a lot of times I guess you're just hoping it never comes out.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've had conversations like that on my page too, where some people feel like you're supposed to delete everything once you stop dating with somebody, but to me, that's super delusional. You know what I mean?
I
Like
don't listen.
deleting, expecting somebody to just delete it.
Hey,
Come on.
I still, hey, listen, I don't know if I'm gonna go to. Hey, listen, I still got some old news in my phone. I ain't deleting nothing.
Well, I mean, but these are the times that we're in now, where
Yep.
a couple seconds of video from a long time ago, from in the back of a car, from a drunk night, from all these type of things can surface later on. And so it's really interesting. Like, damn, like, do you end the relationship over it? Should it be common sense that you know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm never asking a whole bunch of detailed questions. I mean, how many times did you do this? How many times did you, like, to me, I don't even really.
I don't ask
Yeah,
either.
like that.
I don't really ask what her sexual like I said, most of the time I just assume she's done X, Y, and Z. I assume, hey, she's had her backbone out in the backseat of a car here. You know what I'm saying? I just assume stuff like that. Hey, she might have had a quickie in a public restroom somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I kind of just assume this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because most of the time, women are more experienced sexually than men are. And mind you, it's from their, a lot of times even from their adolescent years before they even turn the age of 18. There's some, not all, but there's some of them that have. So I just,
Well, I mean,
like I said, I assume.
yeah, there ain't no right way to do it, but
Yeah.
like for example, in the Cassie situation, I don't see how her husband can't have a different perspective of her. You know what I mean? Like there are certain things that you just can't unsee or you can't unhear. And so when you're talking about a person's sexual past, like to me, it's like, damn, I can't even really respect you the same. Like if I was dating a chick and it come out, she was letting dudes shit in her mouth, or you know what I'm saying? Like she was one, like I can't respect that. You know what I'm saying? Like
I couldn't either. Like I said, that's why I said, it's kind of all relative to you and the person that you're dealing with, because it's like, what is your threshold of what you're willing to accept and not willing to accept here? So it's like I said, stuff like what you said in those extremes, and I'm finding that out, especially walking into a courtroom at all places, and it's out for everybody to know. I can't even look at her and say, like, I would just, even just going back to that, laying in bed with her, I just couldn't look at her the same after that.
Right. Now, so for most people, their past sexual experience or dating experiences, if it didn't result in a child or STD, it's invisible. You know what I'm saying? It's really irrelevant, or at least that's how a lot of people feel. If you STD free, you ain't had no kids that you hiding or this and that, then what you did in the past really shouldn't matter. But that's not really how things get applied in real life, right? When we talking about what I was gonna say, like their past sexual experiences, when you find out some of the who it is, like say for example, somebody that they told you was they play brother, and you find out they was smashing for years behind your back. You know what I'm saying? Like certain things like that, where the trust level is never gonna be able to get back to where it was, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that, because she got this dude around. She got this dude around you and saying, "Oh, well, that's just my play brother or play cousin." honestly, and a lot of times, even for me, I'll usually take that with a grain of salt. I'm like, all right, this is some dude that was, he did it at one point. I never trusted that play brother, play cousin stuff, man.
Yeah, it's very suspicious. I've
Yeah,
had some of those type of situations in the past as well, where you, like I said, it's a result of somebody that you're not supposed to be smashing. Um,
yeah,
that make it a secret. You act like nobody else can know this, or y'all doing it on a cool. Um, to me, those are the kind of things that make the sex more exciting, and they give you inside jokes and conversations that build the bond between y'all. So that's why in my side dude roles, I was so successful at it, because I would continually do things that make them think about me and think about our situation when we're not together, to where they can't wait until we link again. So that was always kind of my mindset. If you can be on her mind when she's horny, then you reap the best benefits out the situation, um, even if you're not her man.
yeah.
um,
So is it fair to end a relationship or a dating situation that's going fine based on details of about a past, even if they weren't known when they got together? I guess if you find out after the fact, would it be fair?
there's no such thing as fair when it comes to the real world. So I
Yeah.
have to say yes. At any time, something can come up that changes the way that the person you with views you, and it can change their desire to be with you. For gay allegations, you dating somebody and you find out that they had a gay experience in the past. For some people, they could accept it. For some people, they can't unsee it or can't unhear it, and they'll never view the same afterward. And so I guess it's a result of your personal, I guess, levels of tolerance. But I can totally understand how that could be a deal breaker for somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you dating a woman and you find out she was a prostitute before. Yeah, you have a reason to end it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Yes. You know what? I think I would probably, if I found out she was either a prostitute or B, she used to be a stripper, 10 years ago. Because I lumped those in the same category here.
right.
Because
I mean, it's something that you didn't disclose. And it'd be one thing if you knew about it and they told you about it, and then you broke up with them just because one of the videos came out. Like, to me, that would be messed up. If you were aware of it, and I'm a former dancer, I'm a former this and that. That's one thing. Same thing with somebody that disclosed their past. Hey, I'm bisexual. I had experience in college, or I did this and that.
yeah.
Like, so if you know about it, then yeah, it would be messed up if you held it against them in the past. You know what I'm saying? But if something that you were not privy to comes up, you dating a woman, you engaged a woman, and you find out she got 2 kids in Georgia that live with her grandma, like, that she never told you about, that was, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are the type of things that are deal breakers to me. And I just don't see how any meaningful relationship can get past something that will break the trust on that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So scenario here, you find out a woman's body count is significantly different than what she told you, and that's you know what? Here's my take on that. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times women do, but if it's like I would say like a huge gap. She's telling you, hey, I only got 20 bodies, and you come to find out she's got 100 bodies. I mean, I don't think, for me, I don't think she can be trusted there if she's telling you that there, because that's a huge gap, and trust me, she knows that as well. If it's 100 different dudes as opposed to 20.
Well, I got married really at 25, and my wife was, I think, 22. So I never really had to have the long history or dating,
Right.
body count thing. But I think as you get older, most men and women don't have an accurate body count. There are so many
Right.
people that you've had encounters with that you forgot about, or that you just deleted, for whatever reason. So it might they may think they're giving an accurate number, but there are different things that constitute a body for some people. Some people feel like if you gave or received head from somebody, that's a body. Some people feel like if you had sex with a condom, it don't count. So there are whole kind of asterisks and things as far as people calculating and tabulating their number. So to me, having that what's your number conversation, to me that's a waste of time, because again, you're never gonna get an accurate number. There's always and to me, if you're making a big deal out of that, you're really just encouraging her to lie.
Exactly. Like I said, it's never something that I've ever asked a woman. Like I said, I assume, hey, she's had sex with more than one. Hell, I'll even say she's had sex with more than 10 prior to dealing with me. Especially she's in her 30s already. I'm sure she's had a ton of sexual experience before me. So I don't put a whole lot of weight into it. Like I said, I just kind of look at the behaviors. If she's for the streets, or she's somebody that could be potentially wifey material.
Yeah, so I guess that kind of ties into another question I wanted to ask. So say you meet a woman and y'all dating and kicking it, or a woman's dating a guy and things are getting serious, where they talking about potential kids, family, the whole nine. Do you think it should be brought up if a woman has had abortions in the past, things that could,
Absolutely.
bring into question her fertility ability?
Yeah, absolutely. If that's something that you guys want to do, and you both have aspirations of getting married and having a family, that should definitely be disclosed. I give you so this didn't happen to me. This actually happened to a friend. He got married with that same intention. He got married in order to have children, have a family, and she told me, hey, she would do that for him and everything. And I think they went through the veto process. And I know of the process, but I don't know exactly how everything works. But they find out everything, if you had abortions, they find out all that stuff. So unfortunately, he found out that she had abortions like after the fact, go through the veto process, not prior to that. So it was, and ultimately, unfortunately, they end up getting a divorce. But yeah,
over that, that was the reason.
It was other factors. I mean, that played a factor into it, but there was also other things going on. But it's just like, damn, it sucks to find out in that way and in that fashion.
Yeah, that I mean, I don't know the right answer to that, because I can obviously see scenarios where a woman was raped or something and had an abortion as a child. I could see a scenario where, like we just said, if it did result in a child or STD, most people feel like that's not something that's relevant to my current dating situation. But the reason that I brought it up is because a woman having abortions in the past can make it more difficult to have children going forward. So that is something that can have a direct impact on the family. But again, if a woman had a child and gave it up for adoption or something like that, I don't see that as something that a woman would just be telling every dude she dates. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain things that some people try to keep in the past forever. It has no impact on my life, so they don't feel any relevance to share that information. So I can understand that to a degree.
No, yeah, I can definitely understand it. I would say it's definitely something that's sensitive because the woman's disclosing a choice that she made with her body there, and especially like you said, the rape part. I think that because that would bring out past traumas here. So
yeah, I would have.
I can understand.
I was gonna say I wish SD was here because I would have liked to ask him that, because he's one of the strictest as far as the STD chart.
Yeah,
as far as
my chart.
He's but I never asked him what. Well, he ain't trying to have no more kids. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I would be interested to see what his thoughts were about the abortions.
I would too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the day, the era that we in, I guess, like you said, I think it's reasonable to think that just about everybody has some sexual activity that's been caught on camera before. So I don't necessarily feel like that should automatically make somebody, undateable or whatnot. But obviously, it has to have context to what was going on, and it needs to how you reflect yourself, how you present yourself. If you were doing things and living that lifestyle in the past, some people can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you could talk about, in my 20s I was wild, but I settled down in my 30s.
Yeah.
Some men can accept that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
as long as they know up front, it's when you try to portray yourself a certain way, and then you find out it's false. That's catfish. You know what I'm saying? To me, even if it ain't
Yeah,
resulting in looks. Because, like,
I agree with that.
say for example, you met a woman in the church and you find out she was a dancer 10 years ago. Like you said, you'd be like, oh, well, hold up, But again, to me, you see a woman with a BBL or how she's shaped, and all those type of things give you a glimpse into the woman's mindset. So even if she's not a dancer, like why does this banker have a BBL? You know what I'm saying? Like why
Right.
would put two and two together sometimes, you know what I mean? So it's just interesting to see how now there's so much documentation of your past. People can pull up your stories from
Yep.
2014, and all this stuff comes to light
All
these
you gotta do
days.
is it does because you can find even stuff they put on Twitter from 10, 15 years ago. Because you run a Google search on it. If they have their name on it, you can find all this stuff. It'll come right up. It'll pinpoint you right to the post.
Right. So I mean, I guess yes, people can grow, people can mature, people can
No
change,
question, no
but
doubt.
the things that you do in your past can and will be used against you. So you should always kind of operate in that realm, especially in today's day and age where you don't know who's recording you, you don't know when your phone conversation, you don't know what's going to be recorded. So you got to be careful what you say and do, especially if it's something that you know is
Can be
taboo
used.
or not in the norm. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Looks like we up against the clock, so we about to get up out of here. Before we go, man, I want to give another shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with our background music. I want to remind y'all to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. Jay, I appreciate you linking up so we can get this
Yes,
episode
sir.
knocked out. Look forward to having my man SD back for next episode. This has been another episode of the Hold a Husband podcast, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.